Hi everyone, I'm Pat, this is my cousin James.
Hey.
Together we make OzPower, an OzPower podcast. So just on the back of episode 1 of the podcast, we just thought it'd be a good idea to introduce ourselves and give you a rough idea of what we had planned with OzPower, where it came from and where it's heading. So James, do you want to just give us a few words?
Yeah, I'm a Cert 4 in fitness, level 1 ASCA strength and conditioning coach. Been into fitness for a little while. A few years ago, Pat suggested that I check out powerlifting. Had a look at some vids and I've been hooked on the sport ever since. I'm not a powerlifter myself, just passionate about the sport. So yeah, that's how I got into this.
Yep. So for me, it all started from a health perspective. I've got a bachelor degree in health sciences, specifically nutrition, clinical nutrition, and then moving into sports nutrition. But also pharmacology, so the way that drugs and medicines work in the body, the way that people react to them. So that's my background. Together we should be able to give a fair amount of insight into a lot of topics, and we're going to be having a lot of specialist sort of guests on the podcast. So together we should be able to create some pretty good content, have some good discussions, and hopefully make something pretty entertaining.
A few laughs too.
A few laughs, always a few laughs. So do you want to just give us a bit of a word on what your idea for OzPower was, or where you see it heading?
Yeah, no worries. Look, as I mentioned before, I'm only recently introduced to the sport in the last few years. When I was first discovering the sport, it was pretty easy to jump onto YouTube, check out Mark Bell's stuff, Dan Green's stuff, the animal stuff, a lot of American content, whether it was to learn how to do a lift or just to, I suppose, advertise the sorts of lifters that were around in the American scene. Really just wanted to contribute anything I could to the Australian scene and hopefully try and replicate some of what's being done over there and introduce you all to some of the great lifters and elite level lifters we've got going here, because there's plenty of them.
Yep. So for me, I've been involved in strength training in one way or another for about 10 years. This, for me, OzPower all stemmed from a conversation James and I had a few months ago where we were discussing the fitness industry in general, but more specifically powerlifting, and just things that we didn't necessarily like with it. And one of the main things that stuck out was the recognition of the athletes in powerlifting. So, it's not the kind of sport, and I said this on my Facebook page, but for anyone that I'm not Facebook friends with, obviously this will be the first time you hear it. It's one of those sports that you're never going to see it in the newspapers, you're never going to see it, on Channel 7, Channel 9 news here in Australia. It kind of goes under the radar a little bit. But the reality is that the quality of lifting in Australia is improving dramatically. As that improves, the recognition for the lifters really isn't. So this for us is our way to contribute to that and introduce everyone to who the best people are, who the best gyms are as well.
Yeah.
We're pretty fortunate that, living in Melbourne and the location in Melbourne where we are, we've got access to the headquarters of PTC, which is arguably the best gym in the country. For powerlifting, very specialised gym, but we also recognise that not everyone is fortunate enough to have access to that. So what we're going to try to do, what we're endeavouring to do and what we're planning on, and what we've already started doing, is we're going to reach out to the best gyms in the country. We're going to travel a bit. We're going to try to film those locations and show you what you have available to you through our network of people that we know through competing and friends and that sort of thing. We'll introduce you to those gyms and introduce you to the people that run them, and hopefully if you're interested in the sport, this will give a clearer image of how you can get involved, what's involved in the sport, and go from there. But yeah, we've got some really good content coming up. Obviously last episode of the podcast we had Gwaine on, who just totaled 1,000 kilos, which is massive. Only the second guy in Australia to do that. Our next episode is Emad and Marcus, who throw big dogs and pro roll, the two biggest competitions there are in Australia. And the episode after that, we've got Andrew Locke, who is a specialist in spinal injuries, in particular bulged discs and herniated discs, which is, as we both know, we've both had them.
Fix me up.
Yeah.
Good luck.
We've both had those injuries. They're very common in powerlifting and in weightlifting in general, or sports in general. So he's going to have a chat to us about that, which will be fantastic. We have got a lot of people interested in doing podcasts with us almost up until September, the way that we've kind of scheduled this, which is a good, 4 months, 3-4 months from now, more. If you or anyone you know is a sports psychologist, that's one area that we're really interested in pursuing and providing content. So if you need to get in touch with us, when this goes up on YouTube, we'll pop some of the information up. We'll put our contact details on there. But yeah, shout out. We're more than happy to come and film. If you've got a gym that you want to get online and show people where it is and what you do, contact us. We'll come and do that for sure. Lifters, get in contact. At the moment we're kind of working from the top down, trying to get the best people that we can. There's a few that we have in mind, but reach out to us. There's definitely no harm in doing that.
I think even for the subscribers, people that are watching on YouTube, on our Facebook page, Instagram, whatever,
Yep.
if there's suggestions, if there's things you want to see on the show, gyms you want us to check out, people you want us to speak to, hit us up and we'll do our very best to get those guests on and see what we can do.
Absolutely. So I think that pretty much covers it.
Wraps it up.
Cool. Look forward to it. Thank you.
Thank you.